Okay, so a number of years ago we talked about this, but I wanted to add a few things which I believe are fundamental and very relevant to today. So we're still holding in Chanukah, Baruch Hashem, and the Gemara, when it discusses Chanukah, and it discusses it very briefly, it starts out by saying, "My Chanukah." What is the Yom Tov of Chanukah? And on why was Chanukah established? What took place? Like, it's a history lesson, right? It's giving us a history lesson. It doesn't make sense. What happened? Why? Says Rashi that the Gemara is asking, what was the miracle that caused Chazal to establish the Yom Tov of Chanukah? Because a Yom Tov that is lo netzach, a Yom Tov that is part and parcel of Jewish life until the end of time, till Mashiach, then things change a bit, but until Mashiach, requires a miracle. Pesach had an enormous amount of miracles that took place, special miracles. We'll talk about that in a minute too. But the miracles in Pesach established the Yom Tov of Pesach. The giving of the Torah was certainly a miracle, and that took place on Shavuos, and that's why we have the Yom Tov of Shavuos. Traveling in the desert was miraculous, so that's why we have the Yom Tov of Sukkot, and so on. Go through all the Yom Tovim that way. Rosh Hashanah was the first time that we were recreated. On Yom Kippur, that Tshuva works is also a miracle. As I think we mentioned many times in the Slichas on Yom Kippur, we say, Hashem, Hashem, Kel Rachum V'chanu. We have two Hashems, two Yud Kei. What do we need two Yud Kei Vav Keis for? One Yud Kei Vav Kei would seem to be enough. Hashem, the creator of all everything, the master of the world, the controller of events that take place in the world, and indeed even the laws of nature. So what do we need two Hashem for? And the answer says very clearly, it's a miracle, because there's no reason why tshuva should work. Why should tshuva work? You did it, it's done. You can't erase it, but you can. The act itself is as if it were not done, or better, it was not done. That's what tshuva does. If we do tshuva correctly, that's what we achieve. That's what we accomplish. We create. Rahman al-Islam, I'll use a very, how should I say, extreme example. Yeah. I mean, someone kills somebody. Okay, he killed him. Is he dead? Yeah, he's dead. But he did an Aveira when he killed him. He can do tshuva. And it's as if he didn't kill him. How's that possible? So tshuva requires a new Hashem, a new Yud Kei Vav Kei, a new state of being. Such an amazing thing. That's why we say Hashem. Hashem kodem sheyechta. There is an Hashem of the creator and functioning of the world as it is before someone sins. After someone sins, it requires another Yud Kei Vav Kei to do in order for him to do tshuva. Okay, so it's all miracles. So that's what the Gemara was asking. What was the miracle? So the Gemara answers that the Yom Tov of Chanukah was established because of the nest of the Pach Shemen. There was a Pach Shemen, a little pitcher of oil, yeah, with the seal of the Kohen Gadol, Tahor, everything else was Tameh, and that was supposed to last for 1 day, and it lasted for 8 days. Nasa nes v'hidliku mimenu shmoina yamim, says the Gemara. Lit for 8 days, the Shana Acheres. So because of that miracle, the Shana Acheres, the next year, Asum Yamim Tovim Behalel Uvahidah. So they created a Yom Tif for 8 days the next year, and from then on, the Halel Halel to give thanks and praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the purpose of this Yom Tif. But it was established on a miracle. And what was the miracle? The lighting of the candles. Now, to be honest, there seems to be something a little bit out of balance here, because we know that at that time, Klal Yisrael was under an existential threat. They wanted to destroy our not our being, not our physical. They didn't want to destroy us physically. They wanted to destroy us spiritually. They wanted to remove us from a connection to anything that's outside of the physical world. So the Greek Empire, which was very powerful. I mean, it wasn't quite like Alexander, because Alexander conquered the whole world. The whole world. No one conquered like Alexander conquered. And his kingdom only lasted for about 4 years, but he was because he was 33 or 37, 33, I think, when he died. So he didn't last very long. But and then the Greek Empire was divided by the Egyptians and the Syrians and the Assyrians. It's the whole big cholent that came about from his generals and so on. And what happened? One that was in charge of Eretz Yisrael and Syria, Antiochus, wanted to make sure that we would no longer have any connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This we could not stand. Just as when we are physically attacked and physically in danger, we will fight back. So too, when we are attacked spiritually, we will fight back. And there were many gzeiros that they put into place, the Goyim, these Greeks. They designed, Lashkicham torosecho la'avira michukei ritzonecha. As we say in Al Anisim, and we say Al Anisim, to make him forget your Torah, yeah, and to stop you from doing mitzvahs, because that's our connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's our connection to the world beyond us. So obviously, the obvious question is, what's lahashkicham Torah different than lahaviram mechukei ritzonecha? I mean, it's a mitzvah to learn Torah. Yeah, we have a mitzvah to learn Torah, so it's included in lahaviram mechukei ritzonecha, not to do the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So why did it do? Why did the Chazal, when they authored the Al Hanisim, put it in two different separate parts? And the answer to that is, it occurred to me. I mean, from my perspective, my introspection and my perspection, it says lahashkicham Torah secha. It doesn't say lahashkicham Torah. It doesn't say that they wanted to destroy Torah. Yeah, Torah is fine. You have wisdom. Greeks love wisdom, beautiful wisdom, but just don't try to sell me that it comes from God. That's all. Torah secha, lashkicham Torah secha. That's what they wanted, that we should forget somehow that the Torah is connected to the Almighty. Okay, so this was an existential threat, and therefore, what did we do? So we went to war. Masarti giborim b'yad chaloshim, rabim b'yad ma'atim, tzmeim b'yad tahirim. Strong in the hands of the weak, the many in the hands of the few. Those who were defiled in the hands of those who were pure. Yes. Now stop and think. He had a little bit of oil that burns for a long time, and it's only supposed to last for a little bit. And where was it lit? It was lit in the Beis Hamikdash. The enormity of them, if CNN were around during the time of the Maccabees, right? What would they have said? You know, they would have said, the poor Greeks, look at what those miserable Jews did to the Greeks. There were 13 men against the entire Greek Empire, and we destroyed them. So how come the answer was on the Pach Shemen, on this little bit of oil that they established the Yontif? Why not on the victory of the war? Even though we say in Al Hanisim, and by the way, in Al Hanisim we don't even mention the lighting of the candles that it lasted for 8 days. It just says that bo acha bo banecha lidvir besecha, yeah, pinu eselecha v'tieros mikdashecha v'idliku neiros b'chatzos kodshecha, and they lit candles, but it doesn't say that it lasted for 8 days there. So what's going on here? Why did the Gemara choose this as the miracle and not? So let's go back to Parshas Vayeshev a minute. And there we know that Yosef was taken down to Mitzrayim, and he was sold, first of all, to and then by to the Egyptians a Orchas Yishmaelim, to a caravan of Yishmaelim. And the pasuk says like this: "V'hinei Orchas Yishmaelim ba Megillah." There was these Vayesha. So v'hinei Orchas Yishmaelim ba Megillah. They came. This caravan came from Gilad. Ugmaleim nosim nechos, which is spices, utsri and balsam, velot and lotus, nice things, nice sweet smelling things. The Horid Mitzrayim to bring down. They were selling it. They were merchants. The Chazal tell us that it was not the custom of the Ishmaelim to carry sweet smelling spices at all. They normally carried animal skins and tar. They say Hashem arranged that Yosef not to be subjected to the foul-smelling Arabs. And so what did he do? He provided a caravan with what? Sweet-smelling spices and balsam and nice, all that lotus. Now, why was that necessary? Let's analyze it for a minute. It was the worst time in Yosef HaTzadik's life. What possible difference could it make if it smelled good or it didn't make, if it smelled good or it didn't smell? What possible difference could it make if he had special fragrances there? He fell from his lofty position of being his father's Ben Zikunim, learned all of his Torah, the Torah that all the Chazal say was called the Ben Zikunim, because Zokain is Zeshakona Chachma. Zokain, who is a Zokain? Zeshakona Chachma, one who acquires wisdom. So Yosef studied and learned from Yaakov Avinu all the Torah he learned for 14 years in Yeshiva Shem Ve'ever. You can imagine what kind of, and it was a big masmid. He didn't go to sleep either. So, do you realize what he did? This who he was. And he was sold into Egypt, the most vile, the most immoral place on earth at that time. Well, probably we beat them now, but then it was pretty bad, and it was impossible to escape from there. There was no getting away. So he was in the depths of darkness, and everything seemed helpless. What benefit was there in those sweet-smelling spices? Okay, very nice sweet-smelling spices. So what? I mean, you really think it took him out of his worry and his concern and his depression? So it's seemingly an unnecessary change of events, right? A change of the nature. Arabs didn't sell those things, and all of a sudden, here's a caravan of Yishmaelim selling these nice, sweet-smelling things. So, but it wasn't really necessary. Why did Hashem have to arrange it for it? And this is not the only time. There's another time in Tanakh when David killed Goliath, when he killed Goliath. So it says that the stone from his slingshot embedded it into his forehead. Yeah? And he fell on his face. Whoa. You're swinging a slingshot. You hit the guy in the forehead. How is he going to fall? Backwards. So why does it say he fell on his face? So Chazal say the reason he fell forward was to save David HaMelech having to walk the 18 feet. He was a big man, right? He's a giant, to cut off his head. So his head fell right at his feet. Okay? Now, we know that changing the laws of nature from falling backwards and falling forwards, is something Hashem doesn't do lightly, unless he has a very good reason to do it. So why would he do it to save David HaMelech a couple of steps? Huh? Again, seemingly an unnecessary one. Another one. Avram Avinu is told by Hashem he's going to give him the land of Eretz Yisrael. Soy necha. Lift up your eyes. Urei min hamakom asher ato made from the place where you're standing. Tzafona, Negba, Kedma, V'yama. You're going to look all from the place where you're standing. You'll see all four directions. Says the Or Chaim. Why does it say min hamakom asher ato omed? From the place that you're standing. It was to tell us an enormous miracle that Avram Avinu was able to look ahead, and he saw it all. And even in back of him, he had eyes in the back of his head. It says Yoma, Vakeda, Tzafono. What does that mean? And it says that you'll see all these things. However, Hashem wanted him to see the land entirely all at once. Just, this is yours. You hear what can you imagine? Without having to move your head, you've got it. That's Avram Avinu. Then we get to Yocheved. It's unbelievable, Yocheved. But and Bas Paro. Bas Paro turns to Miriam, who was there, and said, I can't nurse. we need a wet nurse from the Jewish people to nurse the ultimate goel of Klal Yisrael. The Torah says, "Vatomer lo Bas Paroi hilichi es hayela hazeh." So when she introduced Bas Paro to her mother, Yocheved, he said, she said, "Halichi es hayela hazeh v'anikeoli." I want you to take this child. She didn't realize it was her child, right? But take this child, and I'll pay you for it. You're going to get paid. Because I'll learn that not only are the lost articles of a tzaddik returned to them, but they're actually paid for it. They get extra. She received her child back, and she was paid for something for which she was thrilled to do. What was that necessary? Why is it necessary for her to get the payment? What value did even payment have when compared to finally having her child back? So this is what is referred to by Chazal as He'oras Poni. When Hashem shines his face on you. When there is to understand that, I don't remember where I heard this mashal. It's a very interesting mashal, but it's a good source. But doesn't matter because it's a mashal. So let me share with you a mashal. A family had a very special diamond, and it was lost. Somehow it got lost. For many years it was lost, and it caused them great pain. And really, you can imagine it was an heirloom, and it was very expensive, and a lot of distress. So everyone was busy looking for it all the time. Until one day, one of the children found it in a very obscure place. I remember once we had these returns on the floor, holes with the grates on the floor for the air conditioning and the heat. And it was during Pesach when I saw down there, I found down there treasures, a lot of chametz and a lot of things that everybody wanted lost, right? So can you imagine this little boy finds this diamond? The father, upon seeing the diamond, gave the little boy a kiss. Gave him a kiss. So there was great joy in the family. Everybody was thrilled. They had this diamond back. But the child who found it, he was also happy like everybody else, but he had an additional joy. His father's kiss. Father gave him a kiss. That's He'oras Panim. Shem, it's not necessary for Goliath. We'll get into the details with that again, but it wasn't necessary. But because of what David HaMelech, the Mesiras Nefesh of David HaMelech to fight Goliath, not only did he help him kill Goliath, I mean, what if he missed? It's a stone, slingshot's it's not a sniper rifle. I mean, what if it missed? That was Hashem was directing the stone, not David. And yet he got a kiss. He got a kiss. He didn't have to walk the extra few feet. This is called He'oras Panim. And when he merited that personal smile, that a personal recognition of how much Hashem cared for him, even though the whole event was a big Kiddush Hashem, and they got rid of this terrible Russia, and this part of it, the fact that he only had to walk a couple of steps, did not play a very major role, but there was no need for this nest, but it brought great joy to David HaMelech. Avram Avinu when he was told, don't have to turn your head. Everything you see, I'm going to give to you, and to your children forever. You're going to have a lot of progeny. All right, he's giving me the land already. What's the big deal that I have to get this miracle that I can see with eyes behind my head? Why? He was promised he was going to be the founder of a great nation, and it would be theirs forever, and it's still is ours forever. And this ness of Yaakov, of Avram Avinu, being able to see it like, in a miraculous way, Eretz Yisrael, that was also a kiss from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yocheved, yeah, it was a kiss, okay? She didn't need it. She didn't need the payment. She didn't want the payment even, but she got it. Why? Because it came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not from Paro's daughter. And it was saying to you, Yocheved, you've got something very special here. Now that gets us down to Yosef that we started with. It could have been very easy for Yosef to fall into hopelessness, to Yush, mamish Yush, and feel that Hashem's not interested. Look at what happened. He was on the top of the world. He got the sinus passing. His father loved him. His father taught him, cared for him, as he taught the others. But he felt, because of the sinus passing, that he was unique and special, and he had these dreams. Dreams don't come. I mean, their dreams. Our dreams are garnished, but his dream. I mean, we have dreams that. That's because we have so much other things to distract us, and that's what we think about when we're sleeping. All these other mushigasim. But he had dreams that he was going to be a melech, and indeed he was. He became a melech. I mean, he was on the top of the world, and then he was thrown into a pit. And what do Chazal say? Va'abor reik ein bo moyim. The pit had no water in it, but what did it have? Nechashim v'akrabim. There are all kinds of drushes on nechashim and akrabim. That's not what I want to point out. But that's not what I want to point out. I just want to point out that Hashem saved him. Hashem saved him physically. He could have been killed. He could have been poisoned. He could have been bitten. But physically, his guf. But that wasn't Yosef. Yosef is now going into the immorality of Egypt. He was going into a pool of total and complete immorality. And he could have very easily succumbed. He would have lost his kedusha. He would have lost his tzidkus. He would have lost who he was. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not only did he save him physically, but Yosef had to be brought out of any sense of hopelessness. And how did he bring him out without any sense of helplessness? By not only guaranteeing him with not being bitten by these snakes, even though that would seem to be a bigger nest than having sweet-smelling spices. But no, the sweet-smelling spices were a kiss. A kiss. You're going to make it. You're going to get through this. You'll see. Why in the world? Yosef knew that the Arabs don't go along selling. He sells them animal skins, smelly, tar, so on. Now let's get back to Chanukah. It's true. The miracle of saving Klal Yisrael from the oppression of the Greeks and the effect of lighting the menorah with purity was not such a great deal. What's the big deal? You know why? Because the halacha is true, a tuma hutra betzibur. When you're doing something that's communal, like lighting the menorah, you're allowed to do it even with tamei things. It's the tuma. They looked for it, they couldn't find anything except this one little picture. Why? Why were they looking? Why were they looking? You know why they were looking? Because they wanted to do it super right. That's why. They were looking for something that was tar. Yes, you're allowed to do this. You have a heter. It's not It is a heter. You're allowed to tuma hutra b'tzibur. Hutra, there's the heter. You're allowed to do things that are tamei b'tzibur for the sake of the community. But they didn't stop there. Where did they go? Not only did they put forth the Mesiras Nefesh to fight the Greeks, 13 men against the entire Greek army is just not to be understood. And they won. That's phenomenal. But they put forth extra effort. What was the extra effort they put forth? They wanted to have the menorah start out properly, with tahor oil. Hashem said, oh, is that the case? I'm going to give you a kiss. And he gave them a kiss that it lasted for 8 days. That lasting for the 8 days was a simon that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence is with them. And that's why the Gemara says that the Yom Tov was established because of the Pach Shemen. Because of the Pach Shemen, the war was a necessity in order to fulfill Ki lo sishakach mipi zaro, that the Torah will continue to exist from all the progeny of Klal Yisrael from the time of Matan Torah and onward. But the Pach Shemen showed Hashem's special love. And that's what we have to know what this Yom Tov is about. This Yom Tov is about Hashem's special love for Klal Yisrael. And it's something that we should bask in. When we light the menorah, what should we be thinking? When we see the lights of the menorah and the Pirsuma Nisa, the miracle. The truth of the matter is, it was a phenomenal miracle. For oil to last 8 days instead of 1 day, there was only enough for 1 day, and it lasted 8 days. It hasn't happened yet since. But we light the menorah for 8 days. And why do we light the menorah for 8 days? Because it lasted 8 days. But we have to understand that the lighting of the menorah today is the same as the lighting the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. I think we mentioned that. We turn our homes into a mini Beis HaMikdash. Mikdash Ma'at, that's our home. And that's why the mitzvah is on the home. The mitzvah is not on the person, it's on the home. And where is our home? Our home is with the presence of Hashem's light. And how do we produce that light? By reconnecting to the miracle that took place with the Shemen. The Mesiras Nefesh of the Chashmonoim, these 13 guys, believe me, they didn't think they were going to win. They wanted to win, they wanted to fight, they wanted to save Klal, but they didn't think they would be. How could they possibly think that? Ella what? Kadosh Baruch Hu said, you were Moshe Nefesh. Because you were Moshe Nefesh, I'm going to give you the victory. That's great. But the kiss came with the Shem. Now, they were victorious, but it came with the Shem. There was a very interesting, the Bluzhever Rebbe, I don't know if you've heard any stories about the Bluzhever Rebbe, but he was in the camps, Rachmana litzlan. He was in the camp, I don't know which one it was, I don't remember, but he wanted to light Chanukah licht. Can you imagine in Auschwitz lighting Chanukah licht? How did they do that? So he took shoe polish. He got some shoe polish from the boots of the people that were shining the boots of those animals, and he lit, because there was in the shoe polish there was flammable stuff, and he was lighting Chanukah licht with shoe polish, and he was making a bracha. And he made the first bracha. He made the second bracha. And when he came to Shechiyanu, so he stopped. And then he thought, he looked around, and he made the bracha. So everybody said to him, how can you say Shechiyanu here in Auschwitz? So he explained, when I looked around and I saw the Mesiras Nefesh of Jews, that's Shechiyanu. Just like there was Mesiras Nefesh at the time of Chanukah with the Chashmonoim, so is the Mesiras Nefesh now. That was the Bluzha. Can you imagine? Can you imagine people recognizing that, first of all, just to do it, the Mesiras Nefesh to do it, but then there were people standing around that could have been shot immediately. That was Mesiras Nefesh. And the Mesiras Nefesh of the Jews, Shechiyanu, Vikimanu, Vikiyanu Lazman Hazeh. Now, we're in a state where we need Ha'aras Panim more than ever. We really do. We're desperate for Hashem to show us Ha'aras Panim. Never before, I mean, don't think, it's not only that the mitzvah of Chanukah has lasted throughout the generations, but the enemy, the Greeks, have lasted. And I don't mean the people living in Greece today. That had nothing to do with those Greeks. But the culture of Greece is alive and well. So much so that just, it's a beyond belief. Beyond belief. Here you had a situation where Klal Yisrael was attacked in such a vicious, horrible, dastardly, menacing way, and it's turned around that we're the aggressors. Now that can't be. If you're a normal human being and you have any brains in your head, and you know what the trouble is, nobody knows what a real war is. Certainly not Americans, and certainly not Brits, and certainly not the people in Europe had some idea. But come on. What do you do? How did that happen? Oh, I'll tell you how it happened. Very simply, because just as there were Misyavnim that were joining the Greeks and accepting their culture and wanting to become great scientists and win Nobel Prizes. That's what they want. Everybody touts how wonderful it is that Jews, so many Jews have won the Nobel Prize compared to the rest of the world. Jews, there are more Jews that won the Nobel Prize. Arabs, I don't know, there's about 4 or 5 of them. Here you had close to 100 Jews that won the Nobel Prize, and there are 1 billion people, and we're how many? 6 million maybe? 12 million, excuse me. 6 million here. America, a few more. Here, more. 12 million. Okay. Hello, what's this all about? What's it all about? So my Rebbe, Rav Hutner Zochar Tzadik Lebracha, in Pachad Yitzchak, on Chanukah, says like this. Hashem's will, Nrotzen Hashem, what does he want here in the world? Well, he revealed it to us. He revealed to us his will twice. Twice. When was the first time? Creation. Creation is a manifestation of Hashem's will. If he didn't want it to be, it wouldn't be. This is what he wanted. He wanted a world. He wanted a world, and he wanted to function as it functions. And the more we're here, we've been here for close to, almost 6,000 years. That's 5,000 and something years. So the more we are here, the more we learn about how vast it is, how powerful it is, and how amazingly it is, and how the structure is so perfect, and it's so absolutely precise, the precision of the creation, that everything works. Amazing. That's all the will of Hashem. That's what he wants. That was the first time he showed his will. There was another time that he revealed his will, was at Ma'amad Har Sinai. And Ma'amad Har Sinai, the Torah, is the manifestation of the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I want you to do this. I don't want you to do that. I want you to behave this way. I don't want you to behave that way. That's what Torah is, and it's not only true religiously. I hate that word. It's not only true religiously. Should be religious, done religiously, but yeah, okay, it's religiously, but it's much more than that. It contains everything that the nature contains, and far, far more, because it controls nature. I told you this many times, I think. The Chachamim in Torah Shebaal Peh, after Nevi'im were finished, all the Nevi'im did big miracles. Very big miracles. Moshe Rabbeinu split the sea, right? It's a big miracle, no? Good. And we had a yontif made out of it. What's the yontif? Pesach, right? Shvi Shel Pesach. And Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, and Avraham Avinu jumped into the fire. And they came out alive. And Daniel went into a lion's den and came out alive. And Elisha and Eliyahu were Mechayim Mesim, brought people that were dead, not clinically dead, but dead. And he brought them alive. Okay? Amazing Nisim. The Gemara has story after story after story how Amoraim and Tanoim did the exact same thing. Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa had to go to mitzvah of pigeon shvuim, and he split the Yarden. Not only did he split the Yarden going to get the guy, he split the Yarden on his way back twice, and on his way back there was an Arab merchant that went along with it. I mean, Chanina ben Dosa. So Rav Ashi would kind of test his it's called his tzidkus, whether he's doing the right thing with a scorpion's, not a scorpion, a snake, a very, very poisonous snake's hole. And he would put his foot over it. And if he got bit or if he got poisoned, he would know it's not good. But if he came through and nothing happened, so it's like Daniel going in the lion's den. And Marukva, you know what Marukva did? He and his wife together. Nice. Mrs. Marukva was very special. So Marukva and his wife were giving tzedakah to people on Erev Shabbos. Lots of tzedakah. And what happened was he would give money, she would give food. And as they were putting it down by the door of the Ani, they heard the Ani coming and they didn't want to embarrass him that they were the ones that did it. So they jumped into a burning oven. And Marukva started dancing with his feet. His feet were getting very hot in the oven. And Mrs. Marukva said, put your feet on mine. I don't feel anything. It's fine. It's cool. It's no different than Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And why was she cool? She was cool because she gave tzedakah directly. She gave food. He only gave money. You hear that? So tell me, what's going on here? Something that took place in Tanakh, we to look at, that is a Tchias HaMesim. Rebbe's Talmidim were Mechayim Mesim all the time. With Adrianus, who was the emperor, and Rebbe, they used to learn together. They had a good Chavrusa shaft. It was amazing. They were Chavrusas, Adrianus. But he was the Roman emperor. He couldn't take the fact that anybody should know he's studying with that Jew. So he would bring a soldier with him and a soldier on the way back. The soldier with him, he killed right by Rebbe's door. And the soldier coming back, he killed when he came back to the thing, so nobody knew. One day he walked in and there was a Talmud of Rebbe's there. And he saw Antoninus and he saw Rebbe, and Rebbe said, I don't want anybody here. So they said, get out of here. There's a guy outside sleeping, of course, the guy he killed. Wake him up and tell him to come in here. Of course, he was Mechayim Mesim, the guy. And he brought him in. So Antoninus said, listen, Rebbe, I know the least of your Talmidim can be Mechayim Mesim. But I still don't want anybody to know. Okay, now, I've given you a few examples of the same things that happened in Tanakh that were turned into a big thing. We read this Haftarah, and we read, big deals. And they are. Don't get me wrong. I'm not minimizing it. But in the Gemara, they would do it like, every Montik and Donnerstick, like they say, every Monday and Thursday, they would do these things. What's the difference? Because as long as there was Nevuah in the world, and that's what Tanakh is, Nevuah, and that's what the Torah is, Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim, right? That's Tanakh. As long as there was Nevuah in the world, so it was the Dvar Hashem that was doing everything. I mean, there was no Chidush. Once they gave over the Torah to the Chachamim, right? The Torah Shabbal Peh, now they're in control of all of the laws of nature. They can make things happen that are beyond nature and manipulate nature and split seas and do everything. How's that possible? Because everything is in the Torah. Everything is in the Torah. Everything is there. Mela Deratz and Hashem, that's Nisgale in nature. That's a Gilui, that's a revelation of what we would call a forced revelation, meaning when it's Hashem said Yehi Or, the Or doesn't go away. It doesn't have a choice. It has to give light. But when Hashem said, Lo si elecha pesel, when Hashem said, Lo sishtachave, that's a choice. It's a control. We have control. We have a choice. And that is the essence of what Chanukah is. The victory of reestablishing wisdom of nature into the control and understanding of, everybody, are there people out there in space? Is there life on Mars? Is there this? What? Doesn't matter. The Torah was given to you to live here on this earth and become a more precious soul. You can do that, and that's where we have to do it. And the way the Chashmonaim achieved all of that we have just discussed, that the internal, so you have two things. You have, the Gemara says that imlo brisi yomam v'layla chuka shamayim v'aretz lo samti. Were it not for my bris, for my Torah, that learning day and night, and there's people learning Torah around the clock everywhere in the world, right? So here maybe it's morning, over there it's in the middle of the night, and in China, whatever. There are Jews learning Torah in the whole world. America, it's in the morning, here it's at night. It's gavaltic. Imlo brisi yomam v'layla, without Torah day and night, chukos shamayim v'aretz lo samti. Then the laws of nature I never would have put into place. Never. In other words, it would cease to exist. The world would cease to be if there was a time when there was not Torah in the world. So what I have to understand here is that the whole purpose of the creation of the world was for there to be Torah, a place for Torah to be actualized by people here in this world, mainly Jews. So the external, the kli, is the world and the nature, what laws of nature. The internal is Torah. That's what the world was created for. To hold that, what the content of the world is Torah. The inside, the pneumius, the sense of understanding the meaning behind everything. That's only through Torah, not through nature. Nature, they're still trying to find, all the scientists, as an inheritance from the Greeks. They're still trying to find the unified field theory. You know what the unified field theory is? Unified field theory is that they want to understand how everything fits together. There are all these laws of nature that they have, all these elements in the world, and how does it all fit together? They want the law that will cover everything. There has to be. And the only way they'll never find it. And the reason is because you can't find it from within. You got to find it from without. It's got to come outside of you. And that's, of course, the Torah. Outside of the physical world. You cannot find the unified field theory. It won't happen. It's not there. It can't be. With physical things, there are limits. But where then there's the full element of Torah, I told you that it was like what they inherited, what the Greeks gave over to our secular world today. It's called science, and they inherited from that. That's what they've plugged. That's what they received as the most powerful and the most wise way of functioning in the world. Wisdom is science. Wisdom is math. Wisdom is physics. Wisdom is biology. Wisdom is psychology. You name it. Okay, none of that. So let me tell you something. a very interesting. There's a machlokes. I'm sure you've all heard the bracha you make on lighting the candles, lahadik ner shel Chanukah, right? According to the Gra and others, you don't say lahadik ner shel Chanukah. You say lahadik ner Chanukah. Why? Says the Gra, because lahadik ner Chanukah has and it's an abbreviation. The first letter of each word, lahadik ner Chanukah, spells nachal. Ner is the nun, Chanukah is the ches, and lahadlik is the lamed. So it's not coming in order, but it's the same letters, and it's nachal. What's a nachal? A nachal is a riverbed or a river that always flows downward from the top to the bottom, to where it's going. Water flows down, right? When you have an inheritance, the term inheritance is called nachala. Why is it called nachala? Because it comes from your parents that gives flows down from what they received and or the shefa that they received somehow, or the nachala that they received, and it goes down and down and down and keeps on going. And it also, so beautiful, is like notzer chesed lo alofim. We say that in the Yud Gimel Midas Orachamim. Notzer chesed la alofim. That's also nachal. Notzer chesed le alofim lahadik ner shel Chanukah. What does that mean? The chesed goes on without a stop. It's a nachal. Notzer chesed le'alofim, for 1,000. How long is 1,000 years? Huh? How long is 1,000 years? It's a long time, right? You would say so? Long time. Good. 1,000 years is a very long time. Now, when he says that he's keeping chesed le'elef dor, to the 1,000th generation, how long is a generation? 20 years? 40 years? You'll never get to 1,000. You never, because the world's only going to be 6,000 years old, period. So at 6,000 years, it stops. So it's either going to be, I don't know, 600 or 300. If it's 20, it's 6. If it's 20, it's going to be 300. If it's going to be 20, it's going to be 600. If it's going to be 40 years, it's going to be 300, half. Hello. There's no la'alofim. The word elef in Lashon HaKodesh is the highest number you can possibly have in words. You have units, and then you have asaros, and then you have meos, and you have alofim. You're going to say to me, what about Revava? Everybody knows Revava is 10,000. Revava is not 10,000. Revava is many thousands, because it comes to the word rov, lots of them. Many alofim. Elef is the concept is forever. That's what it is, because you can't have. And it hit me the other day when I was looking through this, and it hit me a very interesting thing. How many doiros are there between us and Matan Torah? How many? So if you say it's 20 years or 40 years, if it's every 20 years, there's 166 doiros. And if you say if it's 40 years, it's 86 doiros, 83 doiros. Do you realize how close that is? 83? 83, how much is that? That the Masorah should go down from Sinai until here. It's 83 doiros, 83 steps. Did you ever go up the steps down to the center of town, and you walk up the steps in Nachshon, right? You got 100 and some odd steps. Each step, it's nothing. Think about it. The Torah was given to us, and it's we thinking, Matan Torah so long ago, and it's hard to. What do you mean? It wasn't so long ago. It was just 80 some odd steps away. From teacher to Talmud, from Talmud to street to Talmud, it goes on and on. No, that's the Nachal. That's the Nachal. It goes on and on and on. That's why they want to make the bracha of the Hadlik, because the one mitzvah that we have that began the process of the light of Torah infusing itself into the physical world comes as a nachala. It's going on and on. Every time we light those candles, every time Chanukah comes around again, that's exactly what we're doing. Now, and I think I mentioned it maybe last week. It says, you made a big name for yourself. Big name. What's the big name? What's the big name? What big name? Why? How do you make for himself? In the world, made a big name for yourself. Where? On you got a plaque on a wall. Just like it in Pesach, with all the miracles of Pesach, what happened? It says that to Moshe Rabbeinu, he says, I appeared to Yavos Bekel Shakai, but Shmi Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, I never told them. The creator, the source of all, the truth, everything coming together, the truth. Amidas Amitusi, says Rashi, the fulfillment of my promises. They only had promises. They didn't see the fulfillment. Yeah? Okay. Everybody saw Yud Kei Vav Kei. They didn't see the Yud Kei Vav Kei until the sea split. They didn't see the Yud Kei Vav Kei until blood turned into water. As water, not just it turned into water, but at the same time it was both. It was water and blood. How do you like that? It's not just that the water turned to blood, but the same thing. They were drinking from the same cup, and for one it was water, and for one is blood. How do you do that? Two things can't be two. One thing can't be two things at the same time. It is what it is. No. But that was the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Chanukah was the same thing. For oil to burn, as much as we said it's a kiss, but it's a total abrogation of the laws of nature. It can't be. According to nature, oil burns, Baruch Hashem. That's a big thing. It's a big deal. That oil burns at all. But for oil to burn, it only burns as long as there's oil left. And the oil gets burnt up. It becomes, anything that burns becomes part of the fire and it's eaten up. That's why it's called an eish ocheles. It gets eaten up. It's gone. But if it lasted for 8 days, that's Yud Kei Vav Kei. No. With that, we have to a little bit appreciate the wonder and the excitement and the love that Hashem is showing us on Chanukah, and we should take it and use it to lift us up, just like it lifted Yosef up, and he knew he was going to be able to overcome all of his trials and tribulations. So too we will overcome all of these idiots that think that they know what they're doing, and we will overcome them. Right? Not exactly how. I mean, even though there was a big, we were all very. At least those who live where I live didn't happen to be on Kishon, but they had this. They found on Rephaim also. Yeah.
Rephaim as well?
Yeah. On Rephaim as well. They found little pieces, not these big ones, but little pieces. The big one's on Kishon, right? On Kishon. By the entrance of the city. Anyway, have a wonderful Lichtig and Chanukah. Yeah.
The whole comes from the Gemara. Only from the Gemara.
Yeah. What do you mean only?
I'm telling you because I had some ways who be on Shabbos who's not going to be yes.
Sefer Maccabim is not part of Torah. Number one, it is not Torah. Sefer Maccabim is no different than the Gemara, and the Gemara has proven itself to be true, but nobody knows whether the Maccabim is. It's all the same. It's all, it's called the Apocrypha. It has nothing to do. It wasn't included into the Tanakh.
They had the whole thing. My husband, when he heard it. I just have to find a way to answer to the number.
I'm telling you what the answer is. If it doesn't come from Torah, it isn't true. That isn't true. I don't care what it's written. You know who wrote it? Yeah, who wrote it? Who's the author? You know who wrote the Gemara? Yeah, that I do know. That's what you have to say. You have to understand that anything that doesn't come from the Gemara means it doesn't come from Torah. It doesn't come from Torah. You have no way of knowing whether it's true or not. And just because somebody decides that he wants it to be true, doesn't make it true. From at least from my perspective. And that's the way they answer. But yeah, it's my way.
It's not supposed to rain tomorrow. Can't run from one to the other.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just.